everybody, it's Jen and thank you for watching. Today I'm trying my hand at a video tutorial rather than just written out step-by-step instructions. So let's get started. We're going to make an elegant looking Halloween card. No scary Halloween cards around here. We want everything to look pretty and nice. So I'm going to start by using the new Simon Says Stamp Circle Loops die. This I immediately had my eye on so that I could do something kind of, use this as an embellishment basically. But then, once I cut it out, I immediately thought it looked like a pumpkin, which is where this sort of idea for an elegant Halloween card was born. So, the first thing I did was get out my watercolor pencils. Now, I'm by no stretch an artist, which is why these pencils are great for me. Literally, you can choose any colors you want, put them down on the paper, and then literally just add water, and you've got an image. So it's great for stamping and coloring things in, and then just adding a bit of water. So here I'm just sharpening up my pencil because I use these a lot. And what I thought I would do was lay down what kind of looks like a pumpkin. So I'm just going to kind of scribble out, you know, kind of a pumpkin image, and just kind of made it like thick on two sides at the top. I'm not taking very good care here. I'm just literally putting the color down. And once I get enough down, you can see I'm just like scribbling. There's no real talent here. And then I'm just taking a regular paintbrush and some water and adding it to it. And look at that. Yeah, I know, right? Literally, the pigment that you put down on the page just melts into watercolor. And I really thought this would make for this cool, foggy looking pumpkin. Not your traditional sort of scary jack-o'-lantern. I really wanted to add some bling to this pumpkin card. So I'm going to add vellum over top of this, and that's going to mute it even more. But I really loved the way this watercolor kind of gave you this like foggy pumpkin look. Just put a little bit of brown for the stem, and again, I'm just taking some water, adding it to the top. See? And the color just appears. There, it looks pumpkin-y, right? So I'm just going to let it dry a little bit, set it off to the side, and I will start on the rest of my card. I love that these pencils come in this tin. Then they're not all over the place. Okay, so next I want to cut out the circle loops, and I'm going to cut it out of this American Crafts gold glitter paper. So I'm just going to take a little piece, and I'm going to use my Cuttlebug, get it set up here. Now, whenever I'm cutting through glitter paper or anything that's kind of thicker, even though the cutting plates sometimes will cut through no problem, I sometimes like to put a shim in, like just an extra piece of cardstock or a piece of paper, just to like really push down on it, because once it's on there, I really want it to cut through properly. So I'm just adding a little piece of well-used Post-it tape. There's the shim, which is just the packaging for the circle loops. Run it through my die cutting machine, my Cuttlebug, and let's see if it cuts out. Yes, there you go. So nice. Now look at how intricate this die is when I punch out these circles. Get this out of the way. And check this out. That's just waste, or I can use it for another project. This punches out okay, but I'm just being careful not to rip it. And look at this. You could yeah, I'll use that as a moon later. That'd be good. Set that aside. And look at the detail here. You could never cut this out on your own. I love, love, love this die. And so like I said, when I first saw that Simon Says Stamp had released this, you know, circle loop, I thought, oh, this is going to look like such a fun embellishment, because you get two sizes there and it's sort of this imperfect circle. But then when I cut it out, I was like, if I take away the smaller circle, I really felt like if I cut it twice, it kind of looked pumpkin-y with those lines. So that's what I did. I set the smaller circles aside, and I cut out 2 of the larger circles. So I just basically did the same thing again, and that's it. Second one cut. So I got a little tripped up here. Just sometimes when you're dealing with these like intricate dies, you literally feel like you're all thumbs. Like I felt like I had like caveman hands here. So I grabbed my craft knife, which is nice and sharp and pointy, and just, it didn't really need to be cut. It just needed to be sort of dislodged. And I really did not want to rip it with my big meaty fingers. This craft knife, by the way, and the cutting mat are both from Westcott. They're great. So there we go. See how that looks like the bottom of a pumpkin? I totally thought it looked like Cinderella's carriage. And so when you see when I put the two together, the inner loops kind of look like the, what do you call it? Like the grain line or like the veins in the pumpkin. You'll see it come together more if you don't see it now. But I saw it immediately and thought, I have to turn this into a pumpkin. I'm sure it'll get used as an embellishment later on at some point. But for now, we're having a gold sparkle pumpkin. And I like the idea of having like an elegant Halloween card. You can see I got a new stamp set, even though this is an older stamp set, it's new to me. And it has cute little critters here dressed up in Halloween costumes. And I'm definitely going to make something for the kids with that. But for now, for this card, I wanted to really use that scripty, happy Halloween. And I thought that would look kind of nice at the bottom of the pumpkin there. And remember, I'm going to put vellum over top of this. So I'm stamping this directly on the cardstock. And it too, along with the pumpkin, is going to get a more muted look. So I'm inking it up here with Avery L Black Pigment ink, which is really nice, crisp ink. Great for stamping sentiments. I got a little too much here. So I'm just using baby wipes. Baby wipes save the day. Line it up. Lots of pressure. And here we go. Yeah, that turned out good. Okay, so I'm wiping it up, even though, you know, pigment ink comes off fairly easily, but it's best to clean it off right away and get it back in the package. See? Oh, darn it. Oh well, there's a little smudge in the top corner there, but like I said, I'm putting vellum over top, so I think I should be able to hide it. Okay, I'm getting out my big jumbo Westcott cutter. I know that's not the official name, but it really works well, so I put up with the size just because I love how it cuts. And I'm just going to trim it a little bit here because it kind of didn't seem so straight. So I'm just measuring to see. I'm like the worst at math and measuring and counting. So 9 times out of 10, I'll just like cut right through my sentiment. But I wanted to make sure that the vellum was going to fit perfectly. I think I still had to cut it like 3 more times after this, but I'll spare you having to watch that. So this is 60-pound vellum, which is sort of a good weight. And I'm going to put that right over top, and you can see how it sort of diffuses the look of the pumpkin and, of course, hides my fingerprint there. So I took it over to my sewing machine, and I used some gold Gutermann thread with one of the fancy stitches my Janome sewing machine does. And I don't use those fancy stitches that often, so I was happy to get the chance, and I thought it would make for a nice embellishment on the top of this card. That way I wasn't trying to glue anything down. You definitely don't want to be using glue when you're working with vellum, because it'll just look like a big kindergarten mess. So I thought the stitching up top and the fancy stitch kind of looked cool, and it kind of went with the elegant theme of this Halloween card. Okay, so now is when the great pumpkin is revealed. Just add the second one, and you see how those loops in the middle really sort of start to look pumpkin-y? I'm not the only one that sees this, am I? No. See? That looks good! Yeah, I love it. Okay, so I just need to kind of glue it down. Now, I am using this Martha Stewart fine tip glue pen. If you're going to glue onto vellum, just make sure that you don't squirt any over the edges. You definitely don't want to muck up your vellum, because the vellum is what sort of keeps this card looking so elegant. And nothing says not so elegant than clumps of glue. So yeah, we'll just wipe up our surface here. We're not taking any chances. So I'm just going to add the first one. I'm putting like the smaller, skinnier loops in the middle and the bigger, thicker ones to either side. But you can just sort of play around and see what works for your eye. You could probably, I bet you we could do like a cool snowman. I'm going to try doing a snowman with this too. And then that way I'd use the smaller one. Maybe I could do it in like blue sparkles or gray or silver. That'd be great on a Christmas card. See, there's lots of you. This is a good way to get more out of your dies, just brainstorming with you guys. Okay, so I'm using my craft knife here because again, I'm all thumbs. And yeah, still all thumbs. And luckily the glue did not get on the vellum. And there we go. I'm trying to just gently press this down. I got a little bit there, but that's okay. I'm going to scratch it off with the knife that way. No one is the wiser. So we're almost done here. Just a few like little finishing touches to make sure it's nice and clean. Oh yeah, stem. Definitely need a stem. So I found some sort of bronze coppery colored glitter paper. I think this is by American Crafts too. No, this is a Recollections signature glitter paper. That's from Michaels. So I just snipped a little bit and kind of cut, I guess the shape would be like a stem, but really more like a cork, where it's just slightly narrower at the bottom than it is at the top. And yep, it was a little kind of slanted there, so I'm just gonna try that again. Yeah, and just add it to the top. I thought that'd look nice as kind of a little extra embellishment to go over top of my brown watercolor underneath. I'm really stabbing it with the craft knife this time. I'm not letting it drop. And that looks like a little jewel. See that glue sort of splatted out there, but I managed to catch it in time. But I feel like that stem looks like a little jewel on top of the pumpkin there. It looks really nice. So I really debated what should be the color of the card base. Should it be like a craft or a brown, green, orange? And then I finally settled on this sort of deep orangey rusty color paper that a friend, when she was cleaning out her craft room, donated to me. Thank you, Carmi. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so I trimmed down my card here just so that it would fit the size of card base that I already had going, and it could use a little trimming anyway. So again, the monster cutter. And then I took out my Martha Stewart scoreboard and I scored the card base at 5.5, right down the middle. And if you don't have a scoreboard, honestly, sometimes you think, or a scoring board, not a scoreboard, maybe you wouldn't use it, but it really makes all the difference in getting a good, clean fold. So I thought that looked nice, some good contrast. Normally I'm really not into fall colors. Like I really am more of a cool color kind of gal. But yeah, I think the rest is sort of working behind that pumpkin. And because it too, that paper has some shimmer, I thought it really worked well with the gold glitter paper. So I'm just taking some Tombow adhesive, roller adhesive. This is much better than using glue. Glue is going to leave wet little puddles under your project. If you can use a tape roller, it's going to go on nice and smooth and flat, and it won't even seem like you have adhesive under there. So that's the card. I made a bunch more after that. Look at that. You can see the sort of muted pumpkin with the watercolor, that nice scripty Happy Halloween. On top of that is the sparkly pumpkin, and I think it turned out just great. A great way to use your circle loops in a way that you might not have thought of. So that's the card. I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in any of the products I used here, they are going to be linked in the YouTube description below, or you can find a little bit more about what I used at my blog, tryonahomemadelife.com. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.